Hello and welcome to the Genomics Bootcamp. Today we will be looking at some PLINK errors. And the reason why we are doing this is because, well, the errors have a typical wording. And if you have seen the wording before and you get an error with a similar wording, then you will know how to react. For this purpose, I selected 5+1 of the most common errors that are occurring in my work anyway. For all the examples, we will be using some open access data from Hereford cattle. The first one is already the bonus error that I want to show to you, and also because this is one of the exceptions, I would say, that actually provides a suggestion. So the problem here is, or actually the error that you get is the following, so that you get a warning, no output requested. Did you forget -- make bed? When we run this part, so this is how the error looks like. So there is a bunch of commands shown, and basically this is the warning message if we forgot make bed or any other option that actually requests some kind of output. And indeed, here we want to do a classical small quality control, but we do not request any output, not allele frequencies, not PED and map files, not binary PED files. So, well, we just have to request something. So after filling in our request for the output, we can run it again, and now we have a correct run. The second error that is, I think, very, very common is the so-called failed to open file error. So this happens when you actually either do not have the file in the directory where the PLINK is looking for it. This is normally the working directory, or you have it in a different format. So let's see this example. So this is a normal PLINK file, or the PLINK line rather, and we try to run it. So when we do so, we get this error message, error failed to open Hereford map. So this actually means that the Hereford map file is not where it should be. When we look at the actual files, then we see the following. So this is not a Hereford normal PED file with a PED and map, but actually a binary PED file. So actually we are looking for a PED and map file where is in fact a binary PED file. So here the error is actually not that it would not be there, but it's the wrong format. So here we want to do is do the --b file to correctly account for the file format, and then this will run again very nicely. Actually, the same thing happens if you do a typo in the file name. So in this case, well, I just make up a little typo here, but of course, it's any other typo does the same thing. And if you run it here, actually, it looks for the bed file, so correctly for the binary PED file format. But since it's a wrong name, then just it couldn't find it and couldn't start it. So be sure that the files are there where you are looking for them, and they are correct format, and also that they are written in a correct way. So every time you see something like a failed to open, it's always a hint that actually something with the file itself is not correct, not in the place, or somehow wrong format, or all these things. This is actually, well, maybe I'm spending a bit more time on this, but this is really one of the most frequent sources of error that I've seen during my studies and during my work as an advisor for people. The next error type is somewhat similar. So it is the so-called unrecognized flag error. So here we also have a line here, and so we want to run it, and it says, well, unrecognized flag -- allow -nosex. And so what is the problem here? So the nosex option is the one that if you do not have the sex information filled in your data, so it kind of ignores that column. But of course, all the PLINK options should be written in a correct way. And in this case, this is -- allow -no -sex. So this is the correct way how it's written. So if we run this again, the line runs correctly. The same thing happens if you omit a space, for example. So for example, you'd have like a dash dash geno, and well, it should be a space and the value. But if you omit this space, you have a similar unrecognized flag error. So if you see an unrecognized flag error message, then it's most likely a typo or something missing there in your line that prevents PLINK from running it correctly. So if you get this, you look very closely on the actual option or the option that is displayed to you, and it will be most likely the source of the error. The next error message that is fairly frequent is when the PLINK writes out that one of the options accepts at most one parameter. So what happens here? So let us demonstrate this error, and you might already see what's happening. So indeed, this is the dash dash b file accept at most one parameter. So here what we see is, well, kind of correct, or not kind of, but correctly with the dash dash b file. I'm sorry, this is the next one. So here what we see is correct for the dash dash b file, but afterwards there should be dash dash cow here for accounting the chromosome numbers. But these dashes are missing there, and then the PLINK kind of counts the cow or this keyword cow also as a part of the line for the dash dash b file. And that's why it thinks that it's like dash dash b file. This is the first parameter, and this is the second parameter. And the second parameter already should not be there. Therefore, it complains because b file accepts only one. So in this case, you need to check actually not the option that is displayed here. So not dash dash b file when you see about the parameters, but actually the option before or most likely after it. The next error is very frequent if you are dealing with non-human data. So what's happening here? So if you do not specify the number of chromosomes in one or the other way in PLINK, it will assume that you are working with human data. Now, cattle, for example, has 29 autosomes and plus XY and the mitochondrial and so on. So if we do not specify either dash dash chromosome set or dash dash cow in this case, it would assume human genome. And when you run this, then you get an error message, invalid chromosome code 27 online. Well, this line could differ, of course, because depending on your data, but it's actually will complain about the invalid chromosome code. And that is actually also somewhat described here. So this is also one of the examples with somewhat helpful tips. So it actually says that we need to kind of consider the correct number of chromosomes in our data set. So the dash dash chromosome set and the number of chromosomes in an overall solution, but for some species, you can also include specific keywords. For example, for cattle, this is dash dash cow. And when we run this one, then we get the correct answer without errors. So great. Also within the similar topic, there was a recent video where I was showing how to fix the situation when somebody previously already used the PLINK runs without actually specifying the chromosome numbers and in a species that have less chromosome than humans, because, well, that technically runs, but there could be some hiccups. And actually that video that is linked above, or you can also find it on the Genomics Bootcamp channel. So actually it shows how to fix these issues. And the last error and error type I want to talk about today is the most tricky one. This is actually just a number, so it's very hard to figure out what's happening and just saying that is 127 and that's what you get. So here, this is actually the normal looking PLINK file or PLINK line. So we have the B file, the cow, everything with a small quality control and then some output, but we want to run this, and then we can get this. Actually, this error just says 127, and well, it's kind of hard to figure out what's happening. Now, I kind of engineer this situation or setup so this error displays, but the reason for this is that I actually removed the PLINK executable from the working directory. So here you want to start a executable file with the system option in R, but that executable file is not there. So basically it just kind of reports this error 127 and nothing else. So if you see this, well, then this is to let you know that here what you are missing is actually the, well, in this case, the PLINK file or PLINK exe. But of course, if you try to run any other executable file with the system command, then and you don't have that file in the directory where the R is looking for it, then you will get this, well, small little error that doesn't really tell anything, but well, this is what it should tell. Now I moved the PLINK exe back, so you see it's back in the folder. So when we run this now, it should work correctly. So actually the same thing happens again if you have some kind of a typo in the executable file name. So here I put up a little typo, and actually this actually does the same. So again, there are two things to check: either if the executable file is really in the directory you are looking for it, or if it has any typo in the name in your R script. So that is actually the thing that might fix this issue. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, consider a like, consider a subscribe, check out the join button to learn about the memberships on the Genomics Bootcamp channel. And well, in general, write in a comment what are your most frequent or most pesky error messages that you came across with PLINK, with R, or any other software that you are using. For today, this was it from my side. I, well, want to thank you for the time that you have invested in this video, and also to wish you a really nice day.